So till now we have discussed that how we can tunnel the whole system or how we can tunnel the browser only. Apart from that, we have recorded HTTPS websites. We have worked with automated recorder. Okay. Now let us start with the manual recording, manual script generation that we would be doing most of the time. Okay. So let us start Jmeter. So Jmeter is stored over here in this directory. Now, I already told you there are two methods, whether we can run this directly or we can run this jmeter.bat file. So I'm running this directly right now. Okay, we would be running this jmeter.bat file later on. And now, just a minute. Okay, so as the Jmeter has started, now so see till date what we have done is we recorded the script automatically. And I think so the text won't be visible, so let us switch to notepad only. Yeah, that would be better. Okay, so we recorded the script automatically. Now we would be recording the same manually. Okay, so what we would do, let us suppose we go to a website, for example, let us consider rediff.com. Okay, so right now we are requesting rediff.com. So we would be providing these things now, but manually. Okay, so in Jmeter, I'll right click over this. Okay, and in test plan, the first thing that we need is thread group. Okay, so the question is, what is thread group? So thread group, as the name says, thread. Okay, and group. So thread means users. Okay, what kind of users? Active users, or you can say simultaneous users. Okay, so simultaneous users. Okay, now group means the user group. Okay, now we have this thread group. Now right now I won't be getting into the functionality of this. Right now I'll be just adding it and I'll be letting you know about this later on. Okay, now what this does is it just simulates the number of simultaneous users. We specify the number of users. Okay, this is the place where we specify the number of users, and this would be replicating the same number of users. Okay, now in this thread group, I'll right click over here and I'll go to add, and I'll go to sampler, and then I would be adding this Httprequest Sampler. Okay, now as I told you earlier as well, sampler is something which replicates user action. Okay, it replicates the request, it waits for the response as well. Okay, now this is a HTTP request. Now what I'll do, I'll name it as rediff home. Okay, now I won't be providing any comment, but now you can see there are many options. The first option is web server, right? The protocol, the server name or IP, the port number. Okay, so the protocol over here, as you can see, is if it is not specified HTTPS, that means by default the protocol is HTTP. Okay, so the protocol is HTTP. The server name or IP. So the server name or IP is this, that is www.rediff.com. Okay, so www.rediff.com. The port number can be left blank. This is by default 80. You can specify it as well. You can, if you don't want to, you can ignore it as well. But I would suggest you to specify the port number every time. Okay. Now apart from that, there is another information being asked as well. Okay, so right now we won't be providing that information, we would be providing this particular information only. Okay, now we have this. Okay. Now let us suppose we have to click on some other link as well. Say I have to click on some news. Okay. Why Bhim army does not want Ravan to burn. Right. So this is some news on we can have we can click on some other news as well. Right. So before clicking on this, let me show you something. So now to efficiently record a script, we cannot go like this. We click on some link and then we copy paste the URL, right? So instead of doing this, we would be using network recorder, okay, network analyzer to be specific. Now, how to use network analyzer? We have three shortcuts to open that. Okay, the first in network analyzer, or you can say developer tools. Okay, so the developer tools of the browser. Okay, so now to open that, the first shortcut is F12 key. So let me just jot them down. Shortcuts to open developer tools of browser. Now on most of the browsers, the shortcuts are same. Okay, so the first shortcut is F12 key. If I hit F12 key, it would be opening developer tools. So let me jot it down. F12 key. Okay. Now the next combination is Control Shift I. Okay, this way you can also open developer tools. So that is the second option, that is Control Shift I. Okay. Now the third option, that is we can right click over the page, go to inspect. Okay, so we would be inspecting the page, and the last option, that is this, that you have to click on this triple dot over here, go to more tools, and then you can find developer tools. So even if the website has disabled keyboard shortcuts, you have this option. Okay, you have one of the four options working. Okay, any one of the four options would be working anytime. Okay, so usually Control Shift I can be disabled by browser, but you don't need to worry about that. Okay, now see, once the network analyzer is open, okay, or you can say developer tools is open, if even if you are not on the same page, okay, say you're seeing something like this, or you say you're seeing something like this. So actually you can notice that this can be docked anywhere, bottom of the screen, or you can say right side of the screen, or you want a separate window, you can do anything. Okay, now right now firstly it would be on elements or it would be on console part. So what you have to do is you have to move to network tab. Now in this network tab you would be able to see many requests. Okay, so right now there is only one request, so let us flush everything. Okay, let us flush the log. So this is the button that we need to use, that is clear button. Okay, every time you need to clear the log, you need to click this button. Okay, now as you can see, this is empty right now. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll click on some link. Say I will click on some link like this. Okay, Tata Sumo Grande. Okay, now I've clicked on this link and you would see that this was the link I clicked. Okay, Rediff is trying to track this as well. Okay, now this is because this is a shopping link, what I feel like. Okay, this is a shopping link, that is why they're trying to track it. Okay, now these are the requests that has been recorded by network analyzer. Okay, this is the log that has been generated, and they have analyzed this and they have recorded this. Okay, so suppose now the log has been collected. I don't want this log. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll again click on this clear button and everything would be cleared. So say I request some page rediff.com. See, I requested rediff.com and you would see that rediff.com has been requested over here. Okay, now this is the log. The first request is rediff.com that I requested. The request URL was http rediff.com. Then the request method was get. Okay, the status code is 302 move temporarily. Okay, now you can read about status codes as well. So HTTP status codes. Okay. Now you can find these codes on any page, say this page or Wikipedia would be the best solution, right? Now you would see, you'll get an idea about it. Okay, what kind of status codes are there and what do they represent? Okay, now coming back to this, so you would see that we have the status code right now. It is saying that the page has been moved temporarily. The remote address as well. So on what particular IP this website is hosted right now, or you can say that from which particular IP we are getting response from this website. When we are trying to hit rediff.com, we are getting reply from 104.122.6.17117. Okay, now as you can see, the port number is 80. After this colon part, it specifies the port number. By default, on every website, the port number would be 80. But on different environments, the port number can be changed. Okay, so you can use the port number accordingly. Okay, now the next thing that is, you find some other information as well. So these are the request headers. These tell about the browser information. Okay, what kind of browser it is and what has already happened or what could be happened. Okay, now in the same way, when a request comes, okay, it carries some headers as well. So the headers it is carrying is date, location, and server. Okay, the server is Akamai Ghost, right? So these are the things that you get to know from the request. Okay, usually these things are not visible to us. Okay, now as you can see, this has got redirected. Okay, so this means that the next URL would be the redirected part. Now as you can see, the moment I click on this www.rediff.com, I got to know that this is the final request. Okay, and apart from this, you would also notice that there is some change in the request URL as well. So what is the change? The change is it has automatically added www itself. Okay, and now the page has been loaded. Okay, again, these are the request headers. This is the information that our browser is sending, and in response, the server is sending this information. Okay, that is the content encoding is of type gzip. The content length is this. The content type is text and HTML. Okay, the server is Apache and vary except encoding. So these are the things that we are receiving. Okay, now we say we have already done this part, that is we have already replicated this request. So let us replicate some other request. Say I would be clicking on you can say I'll randomly click on some link. Okay, say this link. Okay, so now I clicked on this link and you would notice that this URL has been tracked. Okay, track.rediff.com, and they are actually tracking it. Okay, so actually the link I wanted to click was this, right? So it would have redirected, right? See, request method is get, and as you can see, the request status code is 302. Okay, now let us go back to this. Okay, and the 302 is the 3xx part is redirection. So this means that this has been redirected. Okay, so this might be the link. Okay, so as you can see, the first request is not required by us, but the second request is required by us, and now this is the request. Okay, so as you can see, there are few parts of this request, so let me just show you. So I would be dividing this request into few parts. So the first part is this. Okay, now the second part is this, and the remaining part is this. Okay, so first part, second part, third part. First part is the protocol. Okay, second part is server name, and the third part is path. Okay, so we have three parts. We have divided the request into three parts. So we would be copying these things, and now we would be replicating the same request. So the first thing is protocol. So I would be providing the protocol over here. So what I'll do, I'll add a new sampler, and that would be HTTP request. And now the protocol is HTTP. So HTTP. Now coming back to this developer tools again. Now the server name or IP. So the server name is this. Okay. So we would be providing the same thing over here, the server name or IP. Now the third thing, that is path. Okay, so let me just copy the path. Okay, and the path is this. Okay, so I've copied it, and now I would be providing it over here in path. Okay, and now the port number. So the port number is 80, so we can leave it blank, but I would not be leaving it blank. I would be providing the port number. This is the best practice, okay, by providing the port numbers. So in some scenarios, say if the port number is different and you miss it, then you won't be able to run the test. Okay, now this is done. We have this request. Now to generate, to replicate this request, we need to run this. Okay, so this is the button that we need to click, that is start. But before starting, how would we get to know that the request has gone successfully and it has replied back, right? So we need to have some element that tells us about it. So what is the element? The element is a listener. Now to be specific, what kind of listener? The listener that we would be using is view results tree. So what this listener does is it listens to the requests, or it listens to the information generated by a sampler. Okay, it listens to the request generated by a sampler, and it listens to the responses as well. Okay, so all the listeners do the same work, but they represent in a different way. Every listener does the same work, but it would be reflecting the results in a different way. For example, view results tree would be showing us results in a tree, and it would be providing us each and every detail of the sampler. Okay, so what kind of request was sent, what the request contained, and what was the response back from the server, right? Everything is getting recorded, but it is showing us the more detailed view with the pages as well. So how? Let us run it and let us see what is happening around. So the moment I started it, okay, and right now see, I have not saved this file, right? I have not saved this JMX file, okay, and the Jmeter file. So it is asking me to save the test plan. So let us save it. Okay, so now it is asking me for the name, and as you can see, the extension by default is .jmx. Okay, this is the extension of this Jmeter file. So let us store it with day 3. Okay, now we have this day 3 file, and I've saved it. So now the moment I saved it, this request went through, and as you can see, there are 2 requests. Both are checked. That means both are green. This means that they are successful. So the first request is this. Okay, now you would be able to see many things. So the first thing is the thread name, the thread group 1 of 1. We would be covering this thing later when we would be studying more about thread group. So right now it just tells us about the thread group name. Okay, the sample start time, that is what we are concerned of right now. So see, the moment we started it, it recorded the sample start time. So the sample start time is when the request was actually generated by the server system, not the server but the system. Okay, that is from us. So we generated this request at this time, that is 7:24 AM and 4 seconds. Okay, now there is a load time. This time is the total time taken by the request to go and come back with a response. Okay, so the load time is 412 milliseconds. The connect time and the latency. So the connect time is the time that is taken by our request. Okay, say when the first response came back. Okay, so the connect time was 106 seconds. Now latency is the time that is like the time taken by the request from our server, from our system to the server. Okay, so how much time it took to response back, like how much time it took server to response back. Okay, so this is the whole time. The data received took 412 milliseconds, and the latency was 143 milliseconds. The connect time is 106 milliseconds. Apart from this, it tells us more information as well. That is the sent data. Okay, the sent data was of 118 bytes. The size of the whole page is whole request is, or you can say the whole page is 192,655 bytes. Okay, apart from that, there is a header size and body size. Okay, so the header size is this, the information that we received was of this size. Okay, and the body size is this, this is the actual page size, that is 192,445. Okay, now you can see that there is a response code. So the response code is the, say, HTTP status code, that whether the page is available or not. If it is in 200s mark, that means that the response code is okay and the page has been found. Okay, now the next thing, that is response message. So the response message is okay. If there is any error, it would be reflecting us that error as well. Okay, so now this was the sampler result, right? Now let us go to request part. So what data we requested would be shown over here. The first thing, that is get, the method was get, and it requested this page, that is www.rediff.com. There was no data involved in the request, so it is empty, and there is no cookie involved in the request, so it is empty as well. Now we have the another tab inside the request tab, so that is request headers. Now these are the headers that have been sent. Okay, we have not replicated the headers right now, so these are the by default headers provided by Jmeter. Okay, now let us get to the another tab, that is response data. So in this response data, we are able to see a HTML code. Okay, now this is the same code available on the page as well. So how? Let us just right click on the page. Okay, and we just do the view page source. As you can see, this is the source. Okay, so we are able to see the same source on developer tools. Okay, not on the developer tools as well, and on the same on the say listener as well, that is response data and response body. This is the response body. Whatever data we have received in the response, like whatever the page we have received on the response, we are able to see this. Apart from this, we are able to see the response headers as well. So this is the data provided to us. This is the information provided to us by the server, that what kind of server it is and what are the options specified. Okay, the time on the server is this, that is it is running on GMT. Okay, now this is done. Okay, now as you can see, there is another request as well. I did not rename the second request, so as you can see, the second request name shown over here is HTTP request. Now in the same way, there would be the same information. The connect time is 0 now, because the first time the connection was made to rediff.com. Okay, it has stored the information, so it is not showing the connect time, but it is showing the latency. Okay, so every time latency would be recorded. Okay, if it is a new server or request, then only the connect time would be recorded. You can notice these things when you would try these things. Okay, so you should try these things, like the more you'll try these things, the more you'll get to know these things. Okay, so the sent in bytes, the size in bytes, this is the whole size of the whole request, the data sent, the data received, everything. The sent request size was 187 bytes, the header size is 209 bytes, the body size is this. Okay, so this is the information that we have. Okay, this is the request and this is the response data. So we are able to see many things, right? We are able to see the request body, we are able to see the request headers, we are able to see the response data. Now, what if I want to see the page as well? So what I'll do, have an option in view results tree listener. That is, I'll click on this text and I would be going to HTML. Okay, so now it would be showing me the HTML page as well. Right now the page is not properly formatted, but this is the page how it looks like. This is the data that is contained on this page. The same way the data on the Rediff page would be something like this, right? So if I show you something, say I'm on the second request, the news that we requested. Okay, why Bhim army does not want Ravan to burn, and there is some photograph, and then let us suppose there is some text that is for many years no one has thought about this, right? So let us go to the browser, and now I would be going to the same page, okay, and see, this is the same thing, Ravan villain or everything, right? You are giving a new twist to the Ramayana, but why are saying after 70 years of independence? There are many things, and you can see the same thing we are able to see in Jmeter as well. Okay, why are you seeking to stop the burning Ravan of? See, everything is same, right? The text is totally same, right? The only difference is the formatting. Now, if you want to see more formatted way, you can choose the option HTML download resources. Okay, now it would be downloading the resources as well, and now the page looks something like this. The image is involved, so you can see there is some image as well. Okay, now that is a different thing, that the image is not shown properly, but this is the image and the text size is changed now. Okay, now these are the two requests that we generated. Okay, the same way we would be generating more requests. So right now we generated the request to Rediff. Let us do one thing. Let us generate one more request, and this time we would be generating request to some other page, and say let us go back to Rediff home, and now we would be requesting money. Okay, so let us do one thing. Let us open this link, and before going to this link, let us go to this network analyzer and developer tools, and let us flush out everything that we have. So now I would be clicking on this money link, and as a result you can see the page has been opened, and now I'll go back to developer tools, and now we see that this request has been generated. Now see, the first link is the tracking URL that Rediff is trying to track us. Let's just forget it. Now the next request was, the immediate request was this, that is http money.rediff.com, right? But as a result you can see this has been moved permanently, right? So and the page has been moved to https. Again, this page has been moved permanently, and the request has been moved to this, that is /index.html. Okay, so as you can see, the request is getting redirected 3 times. So what if I replicate this request? That is the request that is getting redirected. So let us replicate this particular request and let us see what happens. Okay, so let us go back to Jmeter and replicate this request. So I'll add a sampler, Httprequest Sampler. Now I would be having these two samplers. Say this is, and say the Shahra news. Okay, so we have these two samplers, and now I will be having the third sampler, and this is Rediff money. Okay, so Rediff money, the protocol is HTTP, not the HTTPS, but HTTP only. Okay, now the server name is money.rediff.com. Now I provided this thing manually, but I already knew that this is the request. As you can see, money.rediff.com. Now there is no path. As you can see, after the slash part there is nothing involved, so there is no part. Okay, now over here in Jmeter, okay, I won't be providing anything else apart from the port number, so the port number is 80. Okay, and now we have this request with us. Now one thing, that suppose you have many elements in your test plan, or you can say many samplers in your test plan, but you don't need all the samplers, right? So in that case, what would you do? There are two solutions for that. Either you would be deleting that element, or you would be finding some other way. So instead of deleting the element, right now we don't need these two elements, right? I just want to run this Rediff money only. So what I can do, I can disable it. Okay, so how to disable it? Right click over the element, okay, and you would see that there is an option disable. Okay, so I can click this option. Now in the same way I can do this for the another element as well, that is disable. Okay, so now I have disabled these two elements. These two contain all the information, but these won't be run, or these would be skipped in case of test execution. Okay, so let us run this test. Okay, and now I've run this test, but you would see that other two requests are already there, right? This is because the requests once recorded would stay there until or unless we flush out the log. Okay, so this is the log that has been recorded, but we did not flush it out. Okay, so that is why it is able to show us the older requests as well, right? So to have this issue resolved, what we will do, we will be clicking on this particular button, that is clear. Okay, clear all, and I clicked on this button, and you can see now that there is no log. Now if I run it, it would be showing me rediff money only. But now if you notice, there is a plus mark with rediff money. That means I can expand it, right? So there is something fishy, right? So now if I expand it, you would notice that there are actually three requests: rediff money 0, rediff money 1, and rediff money 2. So the first request is this. Okay, now right now I'm able to see this result. So that let us do one thing. Let us go back to text again. Okay, and now let us go back to sampler. So in the sampler result, you would see that the response code is 301 and the page has been moved permanently. Now, this means that the request has been redirected. Okay, so what I'll do, if it is redirected, I'll just go to the immediate next sampler. So the next sampler is this. Okay, again the page is redirected. As you can see, the response code is 301 and moved permanently. So this means that the page has been moved. Now to what pages it has been moved? Let us go to the next immediate request, and this is the page where it has been moved. Now you can see the response code is 200 and the response message is okay. So let us see the request part. Okay, and the request part is this, that is money.rediff.com/index.html, and the protocol is HTTPS as well, right? So we generated a request with the HTTP and we did not provide /index.html. So what it is doing is, even if we generate some request, if it is getting redirected, it would be following the redirects and it would be replicating the same thing. Okay, now we have recorded this, and say the request got redirected and this is the final request. Now it shows us the response as well. So if we go to the response data, this is the response data. Okay, now we can see the page again. So the way to see the page is this: HTML download resources. It would be downloading all the resources and it would be showing us the page like this. Okay, now the page looks something like this: real-time market news, payment costs asked to stop Aadhaar based services. Okay, so now if I go back to the page, okay, we might be having the same URL. Say payment companies asked to stop Aadhaar based services, right? So we have the same data on the page. The only difference is the data is scrambled. Okay, now this is done. Now what if I want to go to Google? Right now I'm working with rediff.com. Let us do one thing. Let us go to Google and let us try doing something over there. Okay, so what I'll do, the first thing that I would be doing is I would be renaming this thread group. I can rename this. Okay, so the name specified is this thread group, so I would be renaming it to rediff. Okay, and now see the name has been changed. Now right now I'm right clicking over the element. I'm disabling it. What if I want to do it with a shortcut, right? So the shortcut to do it is Control T. So what Control T would be doing, it would be toggling the status. If it is enabled, it would be disabling it. If it is disabled, it would be enabling it. Okay, so now as you can see, it is in dark gray color. This means that it has been disabled. Now this won't be included in the test plan. Okay, test plan execution, and this would be skipped. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll right click over the element, that is test plan, and I would be adding another thread group, and I will be naming it as Google. Okay, say Google and I'll add a sampler. The sampler is HTTP request and the name is Google Home. Okay. Now in Google Home, let us provide few things. So the things that we know already. So the protocol is HTTP and the server name is www.google.com. Okay. You can provide your country specific as well, google.com, or if you're from UK, google.co.uk, or if you're from India, then google.co.in. Okay, so whatever country you are in, you can provide the link. Okay, now the port number. So the port number is 80. Okay, then we have provided this information. Okay, now I would be running this as well. So now the review results tree, why it is able to record this, we provided it with Redf. But as you can see, this is on tree and test plan level. So if something is on test plan level, it would be available to all the other elements as well. This would be able to listen actually. Okay, this won't be available to all the elements, but it would be able to listen all the requests generated under this test plan. Okay. Now, as you can see, the request has gone through and this is the Google page. Okay, this is how it looks like. And now if I go to HTML, it would be showing me the page like this. Okay, and you can see the text as well. So the text is this. Okay, there is a lot of information written. Okay, and this is the page how it looks like. Right now, as you can see, there is a search bar. Okay, if I replicate the same request over here in the browser, google.com. Okay, so there is a search bar. Now I can search for something as well. Okay, so let us search for something, say Jmeter. Okay, now I'll click on this, and as you can see, it is the request is going through, right, and it is searching for Jmeter. Now, if I go back to this, okay, if I go back to this developer tools, you would see that this is what we've searched for. Okay, this is what the URL has been requested, and it is containing a lot of information right now. Okay, so let us do one thing. Let us replicate the request, but I won't be providing the whole information. I'll tell you why I'm not providing the whole information. And say let us replicate the same request. Let us copy everything. Okay, and let us replicate the same request. So say Google search and Jmeter. Okay, we would be searching for Jmeter. Okay, now as this is the request, so you can see that there are few things. So the protocol is HTTPS. So the protocol is HTTPS. Okay, and the server name is www.google.com. Okay, so I've copied the server name as well. And the next thing, now there is a tricky part. Okay, earlier I told you that the request is in 3 parts. Now actually the request is in 4 parts. Okay, how? Now I'll show you. Did you notice one thing, that there is a question mark, right? So as you can see, there is a question mark over here, right? So what does this question mark represent, right? So this represents a line of arguments that are there with the request. Now there are 4 parts of this request actually. So let us do them. So the first part is this, the second part is this, okay, the third part is this, and after the question mark we have the 4th part. Okay, now see, we have 4 parts. So let us provide the 3rd part, that is the search only after slash but before question mark. Okay, so including slash, so slash search. Okay, it did not copy it, so let us just specify it manually, SEARCH. Okay, so search, as you can see. Okay, and after the question mark there is some data involved, right? Now the request is of type GET, Now when you scroll down to the bottom of the page of this information page, okay, you would see that there are some query string parameters. Okay, so you would see that there is source and there is some EI, then Q, then OQ, and there is GS. Right now, what we would be doing is that we would be clicking on this view source, and I would be copying everything from this part, and I would be providing this whole information over here in this particular part of this request, okay, where I'm specifying things. So what I'll do, I'll click on add from clipboard, and it would be copy pasting in everything over here. Sorry. Okay, now the name is, this is the name of the say variable that is sending some information, or you can say the identifier. This is the value contained by it. So see source, AI, Q, OQ, and GS. Right now there is much of the information included, so right now we don't need it. So what I'll do, I'll be deleting these two, that is OQ and GS. Okay, so delete and delete. Apart from this, I would be deleting this source and EI as well. Right now the request only needed this part. Okay, so it is having this part only, and now I would be running this request. So let us run this request and let us see the results. Okay, so this request has gone through. The first request is this, the second request is this, right? And you can see that it is searching for Jmeter, and actually it is showing us the results as well, right? So you are able to see the information that is being requested. Okay, now just a minute. Okay, so you are able to search for things. Now let us suppose you want to search for something else. Okay, so I'll be copying this sampler, and I would be pasting the sampler again in this thread group. Okay, and okay, I accidentally disabled it. Just a minute, and Control V, and I'm having the sampler repeated again. Now I actually made a mistake over here in the name, so let us correct it. Okay, and say Google search, but this time we won't be searching for Jmeter. Let us search for something else and say Apache Jmeter. Okay, so Apache Jmeter, and I would be copying this as well. So what I'll do, I'll be replicating the same request. So I'll be searching for Apache Jmeter without spaces. Okay, so now if I run it, you would see that the request is going through and it is searching for Apache Jmeter. Okay, now there is a homework for you, or you can say there is an assignment for you. That is, what you have to do is you have to search for something. Say you have to search for Jmeter or something else, but with spaces. Okay, so the first assignment is this. Try this at your home. Okay, try this yourself, and you would if you face any problems, just let me know. Okay, in the next lecture we would be discussing about it, that what is the solution to that if we are not able to do this. Okay, now one more thing. See, in this right now, when you're clicking something in this developer tools, if I'm clicking on some link, all the older log is getting deleted. Okay, so I clicked on this, and you would notice that the log has changed, right? So what if you don't want this log to delete every time when you click on something? So there is an option in this, that is preserve log. The moment you check this option, it would be preserving everything. Okay, so say if I click on this download releases, now you would see that download releases is also requested, but the older information is also there. Okay, now see, one question that would come into your mind. Okay, why we are recording things manually when we are able to do those things automatically as well, right? So automated recorder, okay, and manual recorder. recording. Okay, so the difference is automated recording records everything. Whatever information we are able to see in this developer tools network analyzer, automated recorder would be recording the same thing. Okay, it would be recording almost everything. But do we really need these things? Okay, so the answer is actually no. So to have a more efficient request, we use manual recording, but sometimes we do get stuck in some request. Okay, say we do get stuck in some generating some request. So in that case, what we would be doing is we would be using automated recorder. Okay, so we would be recording things with automated recorder. We would be analyzing those things, and we can correct our request, or we can use the request generated by the automated recorder. Okay, so automated recorder should not be the first resort for you. It should be the last option if you are not able to replicate something manually. Okay, if you are facing issues replicating a request manually, then only you should be using automated recorder. Okay, so let us go back to syllabus. So we covered this HTTP request sampler, and we did not cover this FTP request sampler. So let us cover this. Okay, and the next thing, that is manual script. So we have covered these things. Okay, and we have covered this get method as well. Okay, now coming to this, that is FTP request. Okay, so coming to this, and let us search for something. Say uh, Jmeter FTP downloads. Let us search for this, and okay, there is no FTP link. Okay, let us just do one thing. Let me show you what things that can be covered in FTP request. Okay, so I'll right click over this thread group. Sorry, this yeah, thread group. Okay, and I'll be going to this sampler, and I would be adding a FTP request. Now almost the things are same. The server name or IP, you have to provide this. You have to provide the port number as well. Okay, and you have to provide the file name as well if you want to download the file. Okay, now if you want to provide the file, you can provide the file as well. Okay, and whatever the contents are there, you can specify them. And what are the method, that is get method or put method or binary store mode, or say if you want to save the file in response, you can do that. Okay, apart from that, sometimes you need to log in into this FTP server as well. So this is the username and the password. Okay, right now I'm just showing you the overview. In the coming lectures, we would be working with this. So I would be telling you how we can generate a whole request, and how we would be getting a response from that particular request. Okay, so this was for today. And if you have any queries, you can feel free to ask. In the next lecture, we would be covering more about the manual recording. Okay, and we would be working with other method as well. That is, right now we worked with get method. We would be working with post method as well. Okay, so this was for today, and thank you. Anybody with questions?
Yeah, can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Yeah, in which lecture you are covering up the correlations between the, requests?
See, we would be starting with when we would be starting working with regex. Okay, so almost
Okay.
it would be our seventh or eighth lecture.
Okay, okay, because this thing correlation is being used a lot when you do a login thing, and then you have to pass request verification
Yeah,
tokens between different services.
right. Actually, I'm not covering this right away because see, if I tell you this thing right now, others won't be able to understand. Right?
Yes.
Many won't be able to understand it. So let us go step by step, and then we would be covering that. Okay.
Okay. But is it
Yeah.
possible that we can have like couple of lectures on that? Because it's being sometimes it's really hard to find the exact verification token, and sometimes there are architectures where you have to generate it by yourself. And
Don't worry, we would be having few scenarios on that. Okay.
okay,
So I won't be covering it like not it won't be a theoretical lecture. Don't worry. We would be
okay,
covering the scenarios because see, in some web applications there is some other implementation. Some people
yeah,
have implemented the thing in a different way.
yeah,
So we cannot cover everything, but our motto is to cover almost most of the things so that you can do more like hit and trial things because see Jmeter is almost everything about hit and trial. You hit on something and then you do something. Okay,
true,
so we would be understanding how we can extract information from the page and how we can process it and how we can forward it to with the request. Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, Matthew has a question. I haven't viewed the pre-recorded sessions. These video have been included in that. See, Matthew, everything is getting recorded as well. This session is getting recorded. Okay, you would be getting the video as well. And if you feel like you want to see the pre-recorded videos as well, you can watch the pre-recorded videos as well. Okay, when there would be a need of pre-recorded video, I would be specifying the pre-recorded video or module to watch for you guys. Okay, that you have to watch this module before coming to this lecture. Okay. As of now, Matthew, we have covered two lectures. Okay, this was the third lecture, so you would be getting the video for the third lecture as well. Whatever lecture we are having, whatever lecture I'm delivering, it is getting recorded. Okay, so you get the video for that particular lecture. In case you miss something, you can watch the video. Okay. Sorry.
Uh,
Okay, so Matthew is saying that he has not received the videos. Okay, Matthew, you can come online or a chat and you can ask us there. Okay, these would be provided to you within 4 to 5 hours. Okay, and if it is not provided, I would be providing you the links before the next lecture. Okay.